Hi, I'm Terence Espinosa. This video will show you how to write the Hebrew alphabet, the consonants specifically. When you are learning Hebrew, you'll notice the font that is used in the textbooks. It's very fancy. It's a nice block script. If you're writing Hebrew calligraphy, it's how you want to write it. But for most of us, as we're using pens or pencils to write our Hebrew alphabet, it looks different. And so this video will show you how to write the letters. There will be a different video that will give a further explanation of the intricacies of how to pronounce the Hebrew alphabet and go much further into it. This is really just to show you how to write the letters. So the first letter, Aleph. Aleph. You write, it looks like an X, but it's broken in the middle. Don't try and do the flourishes, just write next like this. Generally like that for the alphabet, for the Aleph. The next letter, Bet. Bet, you'll want to, let's see, the way I write it, it's very blocky. And there's a little overhang on the bottom, and that's your bet. And so the way we're teaching it, there, that's bet. Vet, it's the same letter, pronounced differently. It's one of the Begadikafot letters. Same thing, over and down with the floor on the bottom. So Aleph, Bet, Vet. Gimel. Gimel I write like this. The height can vary. It depends on how high or low you want this little leg here, but that's approximately where you should write the Gimel. Dalet is next. Dalet, I preserve the overhang on top, make it very angular, make it very square. So that's Dalet. Otherwise, if it's too curvy or one stroke, it might look like a resh. So Aleph, Bet, Vet, Gimel, Dalet. He is next, or Hey, depending on how you want to pronounce it. For this one, I don't preserve the overhang on top. I just draw an angle like that. And then for this left wall, as long as it doesn't touch, you're fine. It's a good handwritten He. Aleph, Bet, Vet, Gimel, Dalet, He. Vav is next. You don't have to preserve a little flag on top. I do, it's just a habit. There you are. Vav or Wow if you pronounce it that way. Either one is fine. Zion. Zion, it's a really skinny letter, so not too much of a crossbar at a slight angle. You don't have to make it curvy. That was just me not doing it straight. That's the Zion. So Aleph, Bet, Vet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, Zion, Chet. Chet, I draw like this, and you make the left wall touch. So for me, when I write the Chet, the overhang is on the left, which is pretty close to the calligraphy Chet. Tet. Tet, the way I draw it is very deliberately different. It's quicker for me, and I accentuate the little in-stroke at the end. Some people will do more of a swirl, and that's fine too. I still like the blocky angles for my Tet. So Aleph, Bet, Vet, Gimel, Dalet, He, Vav, Zion, Chet, Tet. Yod is next. Yod, as long as it's still small. It's a little angle there. That's it. Yod. That's my Yod. Kaf. Now Kaf I write like a backwards C. That way it doesn't look so much like a bet if it's more rounded. And then doggish in the middle. Kaf. And if you want to distinguish Kaf from Chaf, same thing. If you're writing in English normally, it's a backwards C. Final Kaf. Final Kaf looks like a Dalet, but it goes below the line. That's the big differentiating factor. And then you usually write those in there. You might be able to shift these this down a little bit, but that's generally the final Kaf there. Lamed. I've written Lamed various ways. If you ever look at the Dead Sea Scrolls, they're very, very fancy Lameds. I've generally settled on this for a Lamed. It's a very quick Lamed. This angle here is the most important part to distinguish it from maybe a Dalet. And then I go above the line a little bit here. Just 1, 2, 3. So that's my Lamed. Mem. Mem, I'll do more of the triangle mem. And you don't connect the bottom. And then I put a stroke there. There's a pretty decent range of mems out there. This one, nice and triangular. That's distinguishes from other letters. So it looks to me like a dinner bell, and so that's how I do my mems. Final mem, I'll make a deliberate square. 1, 2, 3, 4 angles, leave an overhang. So I want to make sure the angles are all square because otherwise it looks like a somic later on. So I'm in final mem. The next letter is noon. Noon. And so I write it like a vav, but I put a foot on the bottom. So you can't confuse it for a vav if you're not careful. Always make sure the foot is there, especially when you're learning to write it. If you did vav as a straight line, that could distinguish vav from noon. That's fine too. Final noon looks like this. And it can get confusing with the vav. As long as I accentuate how far the final noon goes below the line, that helps me distinguish it from a vav when I'm writing. Somic. Somic, I've taken to making somic much more of a circle, just all the way around. A circle with a little, looks like a little hair flip on top. So that's a somic. There are other versions of it. You can do more of a straight line on top, but for me the circle tends to work, and that distinguishes the somic from the final mem. Okay. Ayin, that's another one where I've taken some liberties to distinguish ayin from other letters. So for me, I do ayin in this order. Start in the top right corner, go down at an angle, and then trace the floor. And then for the left arm, I'll often not make it as tall as the right arm. I'll make it a little shorter just to clarify this is an ayin. So if you're in class or see me write an ayin, it's this way to distinguish it from a tzadeh later. So just where we are now to review: Aleph, Bet, Vet, Gimel, Dalet, He, Vav, Zayin, Chet, Tet, Yod, Kaf, Chaf, final Kaf, Lamed, Mem, final Mem, Noon, final Noon, Somic, Ayin. All right. There we are. Somic, Ayin. Peh is next. Oh, let's see here. Peh is next. There we go. So for the peh, the way I've taken to writing it is fairly common. I'll start in the middle of the line. Go left, up, right, going further than where I started, all the way down, and then all the way to the left. So I keep the angular swirl, so just 1, 2, 3, 4. You can make it a little more rounded if you'd like. I still prefer the angles just as a matter of preference. So that's my peh, and then I put the dot. It varies. Generally put it right here where I can see it. Peh, although I mean properly you should probably put it right here. So peh, and then if you're singing the alphabet song, feh is next. Peh, feh, tzad, final peh. That's right. So final peh is the same start, left, up to the right a little further, and now I just go straight down. Accentuate how far it goes below the line just to make sure it's clear this is a final peh. Okay, the next letter, tzadeh. Now tzadeh can look like an ayin, so to prevent that, this time I start from the top left, come down at an angle, and then trace the floor. And then I start from the top right and meet it right around the middle. So for me, that's a tzadeh. That looks different than the ayin. You can rewind to see the difference. But that makes it nice and clear in handwriting. And this is particularly helpful when you're learning Hebrew. Make your tzadeh and your ayin different, even if they look different than the font you'll see in your textbooks. There's some leeway there in the writing tradition for that. Final tzadeh. Now final tzadeh to me looks like a Y where it goes below the line. I used to try and preserve the curves and try and make it look nice, and it just got difficult. So just straight lines are simple, they're useful, and then as you become more familiar with the Hebrew alphabet, you can modify your handwriting later on. So that's final tzadeh. Kof. Kof, I'll write. I generally still start from the top, and it looks like in English a P where the two pieces of it don't really touch. So there's my kof. You can start with a straight line and then do the roof, and that's fine. As long as the roof isn't really touching, that'll clarify this is a kof. Resh. Now I've taken to accentuating how curvy the Resh is. The font on the screen it looks a little more angular with a rounded curve. I've taken to drawing not quite a semicircle, but it's very, very rounded, very obviously not a dalet. So my dalets are nice and crisp. My reshes are much more rounded. And when we're learning Hebrew, we just round your reshes is what we tell the class. You can make it look nicer than this, but still round your reshes, and that will help you tell them apart. Scene. There are a few ways to do this. We'll go with this way today. Something like that will work. That still looks a bit like the font, not too different. And then I put a dot up here for the scene. Sheen is the same thing, just dot on the different side of the trident. Scene, sheen. And now Tav. Tav, when I write Tav, I still preserve the overhang, though I suppose you don't have to. The important thing here is the foot. When I'm handwriting, I make a little rounded foot there. You can do a block square foot, but this foot at the end of the Tav distinguishes it from the He and the Chet particularly. So that is the Hebrew alphabet, handwritten. I've tried to, there is variation you can have and play with the letters and see what makes sense to you. If you follow social media, you can look up like a hashtag Hebrew calligraphy, and you can see all sorts of different takes on the Hebrew alphabet. Well, there you have it. Thanks for watching. Talk to you later. Bye.